him, you can just
Yeah.
be in. No, here we go. So go ahead and introduce the show. We are
All
live.
right. So we're live. Welcome to the Leo Hefner Show. We got Jim Beard with us today, and we're going to be talking about 1,001 ways to get screwed in real estate and how to mitigate that risk. So hopefully the show is going to empower you to see what could potentially happen so that you could create your own risk mitigation roadmap so that you can, no matter what happens, you're good.
I love it.
Now, Jim,
Yeah.
you've seen a lot. You've seen a lot of crap go down in your day.
I have, and I look forward to coming back to be on a fuller show. Obviously, I wanted to show support. Obviously, the Leo Hefner Show I think is going to be amazing for a lot of people. Give so much value. You have such a wealth of knowledge in your career, and it's every time I talk to you, I learn something new. And that's coming from someone that worked with house flippers, and I've worked in real estate before. And literally every single time I talk to you, I pull away something that I could actively use in my business tomorrow. And I know that this show is going to be a tremendous value for people. And I'm really, really excited for you and for your audience.
Dude, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That means a lot. You know, it's funny. It's kind of one of those things where, I mean, I'm in real estate. I'm an investor. I run southbend7.com, which is a fund. But, you know, I don't work with a lot of other real estate people. So, you know, what I know are things that I've come across myself or I've heard along the way. But, you know, to actually work with peers, to even as a knowledge check, I don't have, which is pretty cool, though, you know. And then I get to talk with people like you who've got a bunch of experience. And, you know, I mean, there's things that you've experienced and you told me about that I was like, oh, damn, I never even thought of that. That's rough.
And that's just because I did it wrong and then found out the hard way, you know. So I have a lot of those, a lot of like, I ran into a brick wall.
Right. School of hard knocks.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you know, I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, there's things in life that you can't learn at school. You learn from being there, doing it, and, you know, getting your knees scuffed up.
Well, I mean, I'm going on 38 here, so I'm still on the younger side, mid area, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, I grew up listening to like Dean Graziosi on late night TV being like, oh, no money down, everything's fine, just buy my book and then you're going to be rich. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll buy the book. And you get the book and it's just like regurgitated stuff from, you know, your local municipal or whatever it may be that has all this information for free. And all they did was to say, hey, I know you're lazy and I'm going to sell it to you and put it in a book. So I realized that I could get more information by going to my local municipal building or my local title, you know, department and asking them questions because they were dealing with people in real life situations, not hypotheticals. And so
I've done a lot of that myself. And that's actually more scary than it is to just pay somebody $50 for a set of books.
Yeah.
Because you're actually having to go to talk to people that don't really want to answer your stupid questions. But the only way you're going to learn is to ask the stupid questions.
It's true. And you know what? It's something I learned on the fly. I was just like, listen, this is my situation. This is what I want to get to. Is there anything that you can tell me that maybe could allow me to not lose everything I own? And, you know, they would take some time sometimes they wouldn't, especially when I got involved with Section 8 housing. They became a lot more helpful because there's not a lot of people that were actively trying to help that community. So once I went into that, that's when a lot of like people started really wanting to engage in conversation with me and tell me like, hey, this is the right way to do this. This is how you shave off 3 months off of your acquisitions if you're going for Section 8. Oh, if you get to know the inspectors, they'll actually call ahead and give you a checklist. And that checklist is actually what they're using going through your property. So you don't have to guess. You already know ahead of time what they're going to be looking at. so you can make sure you have all your ducks in a row, because you don't want to waste an inspection, because then you might get scheduled out another month or two.
Exactly. And Section 8 is so powerful. I mean, it's such an underserved community, and the people that deal in Section 8, you know, there's a lot of people that really just don't care about their tenants. I mean, there's a lot that do, but it seems like I find more that don't. So Jim's frozen. I don't know if that's on my end or his end, but either way, the show goes on. Let me take a look over here at YouTube and just see who's coming through and what's going on. You know, there's a lot of people that really just don't care about their tenants. I mean, there's a lot that do. Yeah. All right. So Jim is frozen. And let's do this and this. And there he's back.
Switch up. Running too many things at one time. That'll do it.
Yeah, it will. All right. Well, I jumped over to YouTube to make sure it was still streaming, and it was still going, so it wasn't my internet.
No, it was me. It was all me. I got the blue screen of death.
Oh, no. Hate the blue screen of death.
Those are great for people that make shows. You know what I'm
Well, so, you know, I'm excited about this show. You know, this is episode 1, and there are so many ways that you can get screwed in real estate. You know, so just some of the categories that we've written down: people, deal analysis, screwing yourself, valuation methods on how you value properties and how you figure out what they're worth, state laws and codes. It's a huge one. A lot of people who start investing out of state, they have no idea what the state codes and what the state laws are, because, you know, we're in California. We've got our own set of problems. You get elsewhere and we think they're ass backwards, and they think we're ass backwards. Really got to get up on that. Partners. There's a lot of things can go wrong with partners. Loopholes in, you know, business, just things you don't close up, things you leave open for other people to find and exploit. Finding deals, good deals, bad deals. How to lock the deals up. Do you lock them up properly? Did you not lock them up properly? You know, there's all sorts of very creative ways that you can get deals in, and you can leave loopholes in that. Pictures. You know, you're good with this one. Yeah, you know all about that. So when you're buying out of state and you got to deal with other people taking pictures for you, what do they omit? What do they not show? Do they show you the backside of a burned out house or not? Whoops. Too late. You already own it. Right. Inspection reports. Do you know what you're looking for? Do you know how to read them? Title reports. Do you know what's in a title report? And do you know how to read it to know that you're actually getting a property free and clear? Because even if you ask the title company, sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. You know, a lot of times they're dealing with professionals in the industry, and they send out a title report. Somebody's going to get it. They know exactly what they're looking for. And somebody's going to call and ask them, hey, is there anything I should be looking for? Yeah, look for whatever you want. But if you don't know what that is, you can be in a not a good situation. Business contracts. Again, you can leave all sorts of loopholes and problems. And we're going to talk all about these. I mean, between all of these, we have 15 categories here, and that's only scratching the surface. We've got over 1,000 different ways that we're going to start just covering and bringing on experts in the industry to come in here and talk with us. You know, raising capital, you know, as a real estate investor, money, you need money. Is it your money? Is it other people's money? Is it bank's money? What does that look like? And how do you buy these properties and get them going? And then on top of that, once you have the money, are you over leveraged? Do you have unrealistic expectations with your money partners? They're partners again. We go right back into partners. Is there a problem there? Don't know. There isn't today, but there might be tomorrow.
Yeah, working with flippers in particular, I remember it was a big issue that out of state and out of country investors would invest the money, and then they would be cash poor, and then they'd have to fix the properties, and they'd be like, well, I didn't allocate for that. I only allocated for 10 properties to get fixed out of the bulk of 50 that I bought. And it's like, well, I guess you're sitting on 40 properties for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, so they didn't plan ahead. They didn't make sure that they had that allocation to fix up the property, and they didn't know how much was truly needed. Like you said about the videos and photos, if you don't know that the photo that they took is from the best possible angle and the back end is a burnout, or it's been broken into, or it's currently inhabited by someone that is not paying, those are all things that have a cost associated with them, and energy and time, and can put back inspections and it all adds up to you not having an investment. You have a liability.
Absolutely. You know, and that takes you back down to subcontractors and contractors working on your stuff. You know, I just had a buddy of mine call me yesterday. He screwed himself on a deal. He had a plumbing job going on. He paid the plumber ahead of time to do a simple job. Plumber quit, didn't even finish, you know, and it's he thought he knew the guy. It was one of the building inspectors came through and said, hey, he goes, I need a plumber. He goes, hey, use this guy. He's good. So he calls this plumber. The guy shows up, says, I can do that. It's going to cost, you know, a couple $100. He's like, okay, great. Can you get it done? He's like, yeah. He goes, all right. Pays him a couple $100. Dude showed up the next day and quit. Didn't even finish the job. And then lost some of the parts that were, you know, he needed to do the install. So now he's got this $300 set of parts for the shower that's worthless because it's missing some spring washer somewhere that you can't buy by itself. So, you know, there's your vendors. I ran into situations with vendors in Tennessee when we had properties down there. You know, it sucked. But in Indiana, I've got vendors who are absolutely amazing, and it makes my life absolutely simple and amazing. So
makes all the difference. It really does when you can have people that you trust. But in most cases, it takes time, and you might get burned. You know, so maybe have one example that I learned from it was instead of having them do all the floors, the kitchen, and the bathroom all as a one job, one contract, just have them do one smaller job to start with.
Absolutely.
Like, progress building. The floor doesn't need a full repair, and it just needs some boards removed and maybe cut and replaced to take out the creaking and the bowing and so on. Have them do that first. And if they deliver on that, then you give them the bigger jobs. But at least that way you're making more micro commitments than you are macro commitments that you can't back out of. And now you got to chase people.
Absolutely. You're doing progress billing and incremental steps.
Yep.
You know, it's like what banks use with funding control when you're building a house or when you're doing a rehab that the bank is paying for. They do progress payments. You know, they send an inspector out to make sure that this part get done. Yes, it did. Great. We'll cut the check. Move along. Next part. You know, and those are just some of the guidelines that once you establish those for yourself, you absolutely may not waver on them. You do not have permission to waver on those guidelines because they're there for a reason.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited for the show is that you're cutting out so much of that learning curve. It's unbelievable. Like if I had a show like this to watch when I was starting out, man, the differences it would have made and where I'd be right now, who knows?
Well, and you know, it's going to be fun because people are still going to go out. They're still going to make those mistakes.
Sure.
But then they're going to be able to reflect back and be like, yeah, that was dumb. I was already told not to do that. But you know what? I won't make that mistake again. You know, or it could have been a lot worse than it was. But, you know, and it's I want to be able to put it out there, too. I want people to be able to call and ask me questions and get on here and ask questions. And because I think that would just be amazing, you know, to be able to on the fly, just be able to hit people up, be like, hey, what happens about this, this, and this? Send me an email. We'll talk about it on the air and we'll use your scenario, bring you on. You talk about your scenario and how we can fix that. You know, if it's something that we've never seen before, let's go find an industry expert and bring them on who's seen it and done it.
Right.
And let's just add value to everybody. That's what this is about.
Yeah, Leo,
for you, those of you guys in the audience watching, like this guy has a network unlike anything I've seen in a very long time. Like he has the dream network. So ask questions, really get involved, get that value, and I guarantee he will knock your socks off and surprise you every single time. It's just, I am very, very excited for this show. I actually have to go and do my show, so I will take off now. But
That's
I'm
great.
excited to check out the rest of this at the replay. And I know you got a guest that should be entering very shortly, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, he's
for
coming.
that.
So
And
we're going to let you go, and we're going to give our sponsors a little spot time.
All right.
And yeah, Jim, thank you very much, man. You're a rock star. Love you, man.
Take it easy, guys. Enjoy.
Okay. See ya. All right. Jim, that guy's great. He's been very instrumental in helping me get this show up and going, and just really putting the cattle prod to me to make sure this gets going. So here we are, episode 1. And we are sponsored by Blockbuyer.com. What is Blockbuyer? Blockbuyer is the only approved platform by the SEC for non-accredited investors to invest with others in residential housing improvements, crowdfunding for everyone. Also sponsored by South Bend 7, an alternative investment fund backed by debt-free real estate. And because we're dealing with 1,001 ways to get screwed by real estate, Trojan, don't be a fool, wrap your tool. They're not actually a sponsor, but I did hit them up for it because I just thought it would be absolutely hilarious to have them as an actual sponsor of the show. So a lot of this is going to be, we're going to have a co-host. That co-host is going to be Eddie Borio of Blockbuyer.com. I helped them with their launch of their platform in Arizona last, I think it was January or February. They're the only SEC approved crowdfunding platform for residential real estate. So if very many of you have gone out and tried to do any crowdfunding for residential, it's not there. It doesn't exist. You can only crowdfund for commercial real estate. All the other platforms that are out there will do commercial, no residential. So what Eddie's done is he's put together a platform, figured out a lot of the SEC rules and regulations, worked with some of the nation's top SEC attorneys, and figured out how to be able to bring that to play so that everybody, you, me, the guy that works at 7-Eleven, can come in and invest in residential real estate. It's kind of a way that, how we got started with South Bend 7. We started as a Reg D 504, which is a investment fund that absolutely anybody could get into. Kids, college kids, dude at 7-Eleven, the waiter, the baristas at Starbucks, anybody could get into. We were limited to how much we could bring in from those people in the first round. When we first got started, it was $1 million to be able to raise. And now the 504 is $5 million. So once we closed that out, we went to a 506C, which is accredited investors only, which presents its own set of challenges. But we'll get more into some of those topics. But again, let me get back to this topic list on what we're going to be covering. Where is that? That is right here. Materials. So materials is one of those things where as you become more versed in the industry and you do more houses, you do more flips, you buy more rentals, you start to get your own materials list together. You use the same stuff that's, in the same houses, the same type of flooring, the same cabinets, and you get a known quality. And when you don't have control of your materials list, things start getting wonky. You'll end up with one contractor that wants to use cabinets from Home Depot, and somebody else will use cabinets from Lowe's. Gives you a different color, a different fit, a different finish. You have somebody else that they want to make their own cabinets, but you're not there to see how everything's supposed to go together. So materials are a thing. What kind of tiles do you use on the bathroom and kitchens in a low income Section 8 type of a house? Is it the ones that you can buy absolutely as cheap as possible? Do you use porcelain? What do you use? Materials matter. Do you go in and put a granite countertop in a house that is, again, going to be rented by people in Section 8? Depends on where you are, but you got to know those things. Man, a lot of these, we can go on for a very long time on and we're going to tap into all of these. Probably what we're going to end up doing is we're going to, like next episode, we'll start in with one of these categories and we'll tap 2 or 3 of them and we'll talk about those. And if we can get some questions in here, and I see some people are watching. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We'll get questions in and we'll answer those live. And I'm not exactly sure how long this show is going to be. Is it going to be a half an hour? It's going to be an hour. I don't know yet. This is episode 1. We'll figure it out. And then once we get that format set up, then, we'll have it. The green screen, it's because I was having some technology issues with my cameras and my lighting, and I couldn't get the right things going. So the virtual background just wasn't a fit today. But you know what? We're supposed to have issues. It's episode 1. So anyway, it'll be a good time, and I'm looking forward to a lot of the input from you guys. I want to thank Eddie Borio. I want to thank Jim Beard. I want to thank Blockbuyer.com and South Bend 7 for, putting this together and making it happen. So anyway, we're going to do this every Thursday. That's the plan. If something changes between now and the next Thursday, then I will throw it out there and I will let you guys know. But in the meantime, you can call me, you can email me, and let me put my email up right here. Love to have your feedback. And if you have any questions or comments, please send me an email and let me know what you'd like to see and what type of topics that we can work with this on. All right. Good stuff. I'll let this run for a minute. Let you guys catch that. Leo at bluefinmanagement.com. Leo at bluefinmgt.com. And again, sponsored by blockbuyer.com. southbend7.com. And if you guys have ideas on how using StreamYard and making these flow better, I'm open to it. Anything I can do to make this better for all of you, I'm game. So, all right. I will talk to you guys next week, and